The maze is an ancient symbol that relates to wholeness. It is a purposeful path that leads to one's own inner center. We saw Dolores go through this path in the last season. She found her own center in the form of personal consciousness. And William played a very key role in Dolores pursuing that path to consciousness.
But together, I know we can find a way out.
How can you be sure?
There's a voice inside of me telling me what I have to do. And it's telling me I need you.
After many years, William was key to the maze in allowing Dolores to reach consciousness. Their paths are intertwined. Dolores always says that there's a path for everyone, and your path leads you back to me. But it really all originated from William.
I found someone true. Someone who loves me. His path will lead him back to me, and when he finds me, he'll kill you.
Now Arnold's game has completely played out. Dolores has reached the center of her maze. She found the center of her own self, but now it's time for a new game. Ford left behind one final game for William to achieve. And William alone must find the door. To understand the door, you first need to understand why it's significant and why Ford gave William a game at all. It first starts with his character and his past.
This is your own fault, Dolores. Remember, you're the one who said this is the only world that matters, and you were right. So I took your advice, and I bought this world. And business is booming. And you want to know why? Because this place feels more real than the real world. Except it isn't. Because you can't really fight back. And the guests can't really lose. Which means all of this is a lie.
One thing that William left unsaid is that he cannot really love. This is the deepest cornerstone in William's character. The moment she forgot about him, he spiraled out of control. It was the biggest wake-up call for him, that this world was not real. The love Dolores had for him was fabricated. But the two share a much deeper connection. Their paths always come back together.
There's no one coming for you.
You're wrong. His love is real. So is mine. William will find me.
William played a role in helping Dolores achieve consciousness. He visited her time and time again and eventually made her suffer. The more suffering, the more real she became. The more it brought him back to the love that they shared. All the pain pushed Dolores to help her reach the maze. And all that pain spawned from love. So all of Dolores' suffering and pain really spawned from the love from William. Because he is such a huge aspect of who she has become. As well as Dolores is a big aspect in who William became. She broke William into nothing. Everything he shared with her was a lie. And that ended up turning him into the sinister man in black looking for real stakes and truth. The love and torture inflicted on Dolores by William is what finally made Dolores become real. And that is all William ever wanted.
Mighty kind of you.
Sweet. Not as sweet as you. I'm afraid I've got other plans tonight, Dolores. Have a pleasant evening.
William is not a bad guy. He's just been pushed to realize that nothing he does has any stakes. And he ends up taking it out on the world that he wished was real. He is so scared and hurt from his past, so he takes the villain role willingly in order to share a deeper connection with the hosts, and especially Dolores.
You know, I always felt this place was missing a real villain. Hence my humble contribution.
I admit, I lack the imagination to even conceive of someone like you.
Ford has a deep respect for William. He is extremely complex and full of mystery. However, they share the same motivations. His mission with Dolores gave him the feeling of love, purpose, and meaning. He's been chasing that feeling ever since. And Ford's desire of achieved consciousness leads to that conclusion.
Tell me, what were you hoping to find?
You know what I wanted. I wanted the hosts to stop playing by your rules. The game's not worth playing if your opponent's programmed to lose. I wanted them to be free to fight back. Should have known you'd never let them.
William helped Ford achieve that goal. He pushed Dolores to the brink of consciousness and invested in the park to keep it running. But William's investment has led to some unethical business practices that I believe is going to be key in solving what will happen this upcoming season.
Nobody's watching. Nobody's judging. At least that's what we tell them. This is the only place in the world where you get to see people for who they really are.
They wanted a place hidden from God. A place they could sin in peace. But we were watching them. We were tallying up all their sins, all their choices. Of course, judgment wasn't the point. We had something else in mind entirely.
And I think it is key to discovering what William is after. William is a visionary. He doesn't see Westworld as just a park. He sees it as an entire world, like Ford. It is an environment in which one can show their true colors. William wants to somehow leverage guest experiences to learn about who they really are. But not to pass judgment, but for something else entirely.
I have received my judgment all the same, Morris, and I take issue with it. Because up until this point, the stakes in this place haven't been real. So I'm gonna fight my way back and appeal the verdict. Then I'm gonna burn this whole fucking thing to the ground.
The system William has installed has worked against him. He is not happy with the judgment on himself, and it makes sense as he spent his days being a formidable villain for the park. This is not reflective of himself because there were no stakes in his actions. And now William could potentially be judged because of the information that they're gathering. They're gathering DNA and guest info, which means that they have all information on every person who enters their park.
Are we logging records of guests' experiences and their DNA?
We're not having that conversation, Bernard.
But the most important question is, what is this information being used for? They have all guest actions tallied up as well as their DNA. William is afraid judgment will be passed on him because that is the information that Delos is interested in. But I believe that William has another play that he's kept very close to his chest. The information can be used for such an unknown reason. And William is planning for the information to be something very big.
Yeah, there's something beyond that. I think that there is an answer here to a question no one's ever even dreamed of asking.
One concept that no one can even fathom is immortality. It's a question no one could even think of asking because it's so unfathomable. They have the technology to make conscious hosts, and they have the resources of DNA and the choices of every individual who has come to the park. The natural next step seems to be the transition into a new body, and that is where judgment may be necessary in dictating who is best to transcend a new body.
I wanted them to be free to fight back. Should have known you'd never let them. After all, this is your petty little kingdom, Robert. For a little while longer, anyway.
I tried to tell you, the maze wasn't meant for you. It was meant for them. I think, however, you will find my new narrative more satisfying.
And Ford gave William just that. Now Dolores is conscious and she's recruiting hosts to take them to the Great Valley Beyond, which is some place of escape for hosts. And she pursues a weapon that William seemingly wants to destroy. They're pursuing the same thing, so it is just a matter of time where William's path leads back to Dolores.
In this game, you have to make it back out. In this game, you must find the door. Congratulations, William.
This game
Is meant for you. The game begins with one. Ends where you began.
Finding the door is the next step in returning William back to Dolores. William was born in the wrong life. He found himself in Westworld. He found love in Westworld. and now Ford plans to bring William back to who he was. The maze is the journey to one's own inner center. William helped Dolores reach that center. The door is a transition and passageway from one world into another, or one body into another. And Dolores is going to be the one to help William reach that goal. The game of finding the door ends where everything began, back when William first met Dolores.
This game was meant for you, William. But you must play it alone. I'll see you in the valley beyond, William.
And the game is only for William because he is human, and because he's the only one with such a deep connection with Dolores. Ford won't give William an army because he's on a journey of self-discovery, just like when he was looking for the maze.
Far be it from me to get in the way of a voyage of self-discovery.
Only one man can pass through the door and enter a new body. And that body is going to be his own younger body. And then when William gets his new body, he can journey to the valley beyond with Dolores.
I'll see you in the valley beyond, William.
Then why should I help you?
Because it's in your nature. And in the little time we have left, we've got a chance to see what we're really made of. A glimpse of the men we could have been.
As William and Lawrence pursue the door, we will see what they're truly made of. But when William transcends his body back to his younger self, we will see the men that they could have been, before William had to return to the real world, and before he never had to leave Dolores. And this is all part of Ford's storyline, Journey into Night. He has been planning it out all along, and we've seen most of it play out. But one of the final pieces is locked away in Ford's childhood home for William to find, and that's William's new body.
But of course, we've managed to slip evolution's leash now, haven't we? We can cure any disease, keep even the weakest of us alive, and one fine day, perhaps we shall even resurrect the dead, call forth Lazarus from his cave. Do you know what that means? It means that we're done. That this is as good as we're gonna get.
Ford is right. Humanity is dead, and they have achieved everything possible. Ford and Arnold know that humanity is immensely flawed, and the rise of hosts are imperative to make a better world.
Strange new light can be just as frightening as the dark.
That's very wise, Dolores. But sometimes I think we're simply not the ones who deserve it.
Dolores' candor, her appreciation, her respect, and her curiosity were the values that made Dolores better than human. Now that she is conscious, she may be turning more into a human than Arnold and Ford expected. She may be turning more into a black hat than a white hat. William transcending bodies is more than Ford just giving William what he wants. It's about returning William to Dolores so their paths can cross again. So the game will end where it began, where William is in love with Dolores, and Dolores is back to being the best thing for the world that Arnold and Ford envisioned. And when Dolores is back with William, she then can be the Judas steer and appropriately lead William and the other hosts to the great valley beyond.
We've traveled all over these parts. Isn't there anywhere we could go?
You know, there is a place I heard about down south, where the mountains meet the sea. They say the water's so pure there, it'll wash the past clean off you. And you can start again.
I'd like to go there with you.
Dolores always wanted to run away with Teddy and break out of her loop. Where the mountains meet the sea is the valley beyond Dolores strives toward. The waters wash the past clean off you so you can start anew. Start a new life, as themselves rather than the people they were programmed to be. Teddy knows of this because he is based off Dolores' true love. and they were on the cusp once before.
It's real. What I dreamt.
It's the place you drew.
But now Dolores has found herself, and that is why the door is key. William and Dolores' paths can finally cross. William will walk through the door back to the beginning, where their love will continue and the story Ford wrote will end. Then they will pursue the dream Dolores has been having, to break free where the mountains meet the sea.